Hi, everyone. I'm Debbie Scarborough, and this is Saturday morning's Insurance Chat with Debbie. So I hope everyone is having a fantastic Saturday. And I know we've got some questions out there. So just want you to know that I'm here to kind of make the insurance language maybe a little fun and maybe take the boring out of insurance. Insurance is that necessity that we have to talk about it, or do we need it, or do we have to talk about it? So let's get started with some insurance talk. I know we have a couple questions out there, and we even have a guest with us today. So let's meet Loretha Simon.
Hi there, Debbie Scarborough.
Hi to my favorite Daytonian.
Hello to my favorite Tifton.
Very good. So I know you have been looking at life insurance, and I know we took care of life insurance for you, but I know you have some questions today.
Yes, Debbie. As a matter of fact, as a senior citizen, I had never had life insurance before. You know, when I was I'm retired now, but while I was gainfully employed, you get an insurance option with your employer. So I've had that type of life insurance, but I've never had a freestanding policy of my own. And so once you joined the tour that Angie BEE presents and started to show up at our pop-up shops and our Books and Besties virtual events and at the Bold Beautiful Beauty Bazaar, which was just recently held in Daytona Beach, Florida. Well, I got to find out more about insurance from Debbie Scarborough. And so yes, and so Debbie made it so easy to understand exactly what I needed. And so she offered me a life insurance policy that was affordable.
Great. And, I get that person all the time is you were employed, you took out the life insurance with the company you worked with. And what most consumers don't know, when they leave a job, you can take your life insurance with you. But, sometimes we leave a job for different reasons, sometimes quickly, or just sometimes we don't think to ask that question. And, look at there, those questions are coming in. But you can convert. If you leave a job, every life insurance company does have to offer you, you have 60 days to convert the life insurance you had with the company to whole life. But it's kind of like one of those things, a lot of us just leave those benefits. They forget about it, or no one tells them. So we leave that on the table so many times. But
we do.
With AMBA, we have a great product that's a whole life. Because as you mentioned, you're a senior citizen. So when we reach a certain age, we want permanent life insurance. And we don't want it to go up, right? We want to lock in an affordable rate that's going to fit our budget so we can pay on it. And the good news is a whole life policy too. Some people say, oh, well, doesn't it build cash value? Well, it does that too. So if there comes a time that you want to take a loan out on it or cash in some of the value, you can do that too. But of course, most people like you, we use that for our final expense, to take care of those final expenses for funeral costs.
Yes. Now, Debbie, let me ask you this. Why are funeral costs so expensive?
Good question. And I wish I knew the answer to that. But I think it's like everything else. But I think it's also important to start that conversation with your family. Because when that event happens, we go to the funeral home, and of course they're there to make money, right? So they lay out the red carpet. So of course you're going to do this for mama, and of course you're going to do this for mama. Well, sometimes we forget to have those conversations about what kind of funeral we want, or maybe the family, what kind of funeral would be affordable. So don't be afraid to have those conversations, because a funeral is exactly what it is. They're going to bill you for every little thing. You want to have a family. I know up here in Georgia, we have a family viewing night. Then we have the funeral. And then depending on how far you have to travel for that, that just adds up more insurance. So right now, I believe the average funeral cost is $10,000 to $12,000.
Oh my gosh.
Of course, there's a lot of us that are thinking more along cremation. Again, we need to be sure we're having those conversations with family.
You're right.
And there are some funeral homes and programs out there that you can set a lot of those things in stone right away. So it's good to kind of do that, especially if you're in a hometown like I am. Something happens to me, we're going to use the same funeral home that used for my mom. And so you can go in and actually do those pre-arrangements so the family knows what mama expects, or what mama doesn't need all that. So that makes it better. And then, a life insurance takes care of those funeral expenses, but also we need to leave some to take care of those final expenses. We may have been in the hospital for 2 weeks. We may have. So it's those final expenses. Mama may have charged up a lot on the credit card.
Right. You're right.
The 2 months before. So, it takes care of all those.
It takes care of all those. And you know what we found out, Debbie, when we had a death in the family, my aunt's husband was in a nursing home, but he was still alive. And there was so much dissension with his side of the family until when my aunt passed, we didn't find out that we didn't have any control over her funeral decisions because he was still alive. Isn't that something?
It is weird. So you, especially going into a nursing home, you need to make sure everybody's in agreement what to do. And I know there was a question. I thought you were cremated when you didn't have insurance. And I think that varies on the state and the community. So I don't think it's a given that you'll be cremated. But I think that's, especially if that's not something you want, you need to be sure what your state or what your local community would do. And a lot of times funeral homes can answer those questions very easily.
They are more than prepared for it. Well, that sounds great, Debbie. I have been so pleased with my life insurance because it's easy. I mean, I do direct deposit, and they not only do they send me a message like a week ahead of time to let me know that they're going to be deducting their payment. But then when they deduct the payment, they confirm that as well. So that's what I call peace of mind. I don't have to write a check, and I don't have to remember. I just have to remember not to spend the money.
That's right. And it is nice. A lot of times people are afraid of automatic draft. And, it is that peace of mind of knowing that if you're out of town for the week or in the hospital, that your life insurance is going to get paid. And there's a lot of grace periods if you don't make a payment, but you never don't want to not make that payment. So automatic draft is the best thing. And also to remember, occasionally I've had people call me because they had to change their checking account because they got hacked. So don't forget to go through your last bank statement and update all those automatic drafts that come out.
I recall once, Debbie, that my mother's accounts got hacked, and so she missed a payment or two, and they immediately dropped her because that's just policy. Now, they did reinstate it, but it took 3 months. So
yes, there's a lot of hoops you have to go through if you don't recognize it within the first 30, 45 days sometimes, but it can kind of be almost like holding your breath. Oh no, will they reinstate it?
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
yeah.
So Debbie, how did you get involved with insurance? How did that career choice happen?
It happened by I answered an ad.
Really?
James and I were stationed in San Diego, and I went to work for a company as a receptionist, and the rest is history. So I've tried to run from insurance, except for probably the last 6 years, because I find this part of insurance fun that I pick my customers.
Yes.
Maybe that's a better way to say it. So, and I love this part, and I love that I've been in so many sides of insurance that I've learned the language so I can put it down simple terms, because it seems like they all try to, not that they purposely do it, but they all have their own language, but they all really mean the same thing.
Yes, you're absolutely right, Debbie. You're absolutely right. So are you going to tell us a little bit more about what you offer? I mean, I'm not even sure if people know what AMBA represents.
AMBA is Association Member Benefits Advisors. And I'm going to show a short video about ambulance bills. And so when we come back, we'll talk about our MASA plan.
Okay.
Millions of Americans are rushed to the hospital every year. 400,000 of them transported by emergency helicopter. Many times it's a life or death flight where every second counts. But the service often comes with a sky-high price tag. Tonight, ABC's chief investigative correspondent, Brian Ross, examines the big business of air ambulances.
You're talking about very critically injured patients, traumas, strokes, heart attacks.
Emergency workers call it the golden hour, the crucial 60 minutes to get medical care for a patient facing death.
Failure to get them to the care probably means that they aren't going to survive.
That urgent need to beat the golden hour clock has spawned a nationwide fleet of helicopter ambulances, saving countless lives. But our Nightline investigation, conducted with ABC stations across the country, also found it has left many of the very people it saved facing financial turmoil, with bills as high as $40,000 or $50,000 for a short flight.
Would you call this price gouging?
Well, some of it is. There's no question that some of it is.
Warren Larson of Owensboro, Kentucky, a helicopter pilot himself, says he was stunned at the cost of the quick flight for his daughter after she was injured in a serious off-road ATV accident. $47,000 for 79 miles. After insurance and a failed negotiation, he still owes $36,000.
It's definitely going to cripple us financially.
He is not alone. With our ABC teams across the country, we found hundreds of families.
I'm worried to death about it. It's very stressful worrying about it.
Being sued.
I don't have the money to give them, so my wife and my son and myself don't want to being homeless.
Or hounded by debt collectors.
I see the number, I'm like, I know who it is, I don't even want to talk to him.
Over huge bills their insurance won't fully cover.
I feel like I can never dig out.
Some forced into bankruptcy, one after another. Patients told us how they felt they had been taken for a ride in more ways than one.
I wasn't asked if I wanted to go on the helicopter. I didn't think I was hurt that bad.
91-year-old Warren Lowe and his wife Ethel were on their way to church in Virginia when an uninsured driver slammed into their minivan.
911, where's your emergency?
Car wreck here on 89. Several people hurt.
Lowe's leg was shattered, and doctors at his local hospital wanted him sent to a trauma center 55 miles away.
Didn't nobody tell me nothing. They just took me and put me in the helicopter and gone.
The cost, $47,000 for a 20-minute helicopter ride.
I couldn't believe it when I looked at it. $47,000, that's ridiculous.
Jean Medina got a $35,000 bill after her teenage daughter, Sophia, on a family vacation, developed complications from a tonsillectomy.
The surgery itself was a total of $16,000, and the helicopters nearly $35,000. It just seems a crazy amount of money.
After insurance and a protracted back and forth, she still owes $17,000. And Medina questions whether her daughter's 37-mile medevac trip was even necessary. It took almost an hour for the helicopter to just arrive and load, and she was able to drive the distance in almost the same amount of time.
I left a few minutes before they took off and ended up arriving at the hospital about 5 minutes after they did.
The decision to call in a helicopter ambulance is made by attending doctors. But the families, like the Larsons of Kentucky, are the ones on the hook for the cost. Warren Larson says he was being treated himself, given morphine, when he signed this consent form for his daughter's medevac trip, which in small print made him personally and fully responsible for the bill.
They said, don't worry about it, it's just a standard form, just to give us permission to transport your daughter.
Nowhere on the standard form does it inform the patient or guardian of the expected cost. State insurance regulators say they have been unable to rein in the prices or tactics of other helicopter ambulance services because of a loophole in the federal law. Al Redmer is the insurance commissioner in Maryland.
When the federal government deregulated the airlines industry, these commercial helicopter companies were part of that.
As if they're a major air carrier.
That's exactly right.
So you can't regulate them because of the FAA rules.
That's exactly right.
They can get away with these charges. They can charge, as you say, whatever they want.
They can. They can.
For Nightline, this is Brian Ross, ABC News, New York.
Oh my gosh, Debbie, that was shocking, but it was excellent.
Yes. And, sadly, some of that one ambulance consent form was from 2014. And sadly, nothing has changed. The good news is we have a solution to that. MASA provides a program. They originally were just helping people when you go on vacation for leaving the country. So they take care of you anywhere in the world, but they also take care of your ground ambulance as well. I had a retiree just message that her local ambulance ride was a lot of money. She didn't realize the out-of-pocket expense for out-of-network, because 10 years ago, 30 years ago, our ambulance companies were owned by the city, the county, the hospital.
Right.
That is changing drastically, and none of them want to be in network anymore. So most of our medical insurance pays very well for in-network ground or air ambulance. That key phrase, out of network,
right,
changes things. So that out of network means you're responsible for the difference of what your insurance doesn't pay.
Exactly. And I recall very well, Debbie, my mother called it, I was my mother's caregiver for 10 years.
Yeah.
And so when you left home, you never knew what was going to happen. So she had a nosebleed and went downstairs. They called the ambulance. My mother got in that ambulance, and before she got to that hospital, of course, her nose stopped bleeding.
Yep.
And so we get there to pick her up. We get a $600 bill.
Yep.
That the insurance wouldn't pay.
No. And that's also a little loophole in your insurance, because if it's get coded as not medically necessary,
yes,
insurance doesn't pay it.
Exactly.
Well, guess what?
What?
NASA doesn't care. If you've got a bill from an ambulance ride, they pay.
Okay.
Any air, any ground, anywhere. They pay 100% after medical insurance. There's no deductibles, there's no co-insurance, and there's no network. So they pay any ground, any air, anytime. So if that bill is $50, $660,000, they pay. And it's a simple membership. And the good news with me through AMBA, they waived the $60 application fee with NASA.
Wow.
Plus, you get a 40% discount.
Oh.
So, and you guys in Florida get a discount. Your single membership with NASA is only $24.50 a month.
Wow.
The rest of us have to pay $27.
Oh, really?
Yes, it is a great program. And again, it covers if you go once a month, once a year, 2 times a year, there's no policy limit either. And there's no medical questions. Everyone pays.
Well, I tell you, insurance is a blessing.
Yes.
It really is. And we all need insurance coverage.
We do. I mean, otherwise we're going to pay for it out of our pocket. And it looks like someone just sent us a question. What is a Medicare supplement and how do I know if I need it? So those of us 65 or over have Medicare Part A and B.
Right.
So that means if you go to the doctors, Medicare is going to pay 80%. And you're left with 20%.
Right.
So to get a supplement or an advantage plan is what your options are once you turn 65. Right. So do you know what you have? Do you have a supplement or do you have an advantage plan?
I have an advantage plan. It's called United Healthcare Dual Complete.
Good.
And boy, is it a blessing.
Good, because it takes care of your 20%.
Yes.
So the difference between an advantage plan and a Medicare supplement, you hear a Medicare supplement is plan F, G, or N. It covers hospital and doctor, your 20%. But then you have to get a Part D, which covers your prescriptions.
Right.
So with your advantage plan covers your 20%. You have a little copay when you go to the doctors, but it also covers your prescription. So you've got one card, one shop with an advantage plan. Is one any better than the other? You know, anybody could argue that one is better than the other.
Right.
It just depends on your needs and what your expectations are. That's why it's important to talk to somebody that's going to ask you the right questions and help you come to which plan is the best for you. So
that is so true.
What I like to do.
That's so true.
I don't sell any advantage plans, but I know somebody who does. And I would rather put you in the right plan, not just a supplement, which is what I could sell.
Exactly. And I also have found out that your medications, your prescriptions are important when you're shopping for a supplement, because all of them don't cover, they all cover different medications, in other words.
Yes. So you sign up for a Part D plan 1 year and your prescriptions change, you may need to switch around.
Right.
So that's why it's an advantage to have an advantage plan, because it covers it all. Certain drugs are tier 1, certain tier 2, and it's kind of easier to read the book.
Exactly. Tell me about it. So Debbie, are you licensed? Do you have to be licensed to sell AMBA?
Yes. So I am licensed in Georgia, Florida, Alabama, and Tennessee.
Oh.
So the good news is our MASA plan, I can sell to anybody in any state, Texas, California. I don't have to be licensed in those individual states. So if you're listening to us today and you're in one of those states that I didn't mention, it's a simple phone call for me to get licensed in those states. So we get licensed in those other states as the need arises.
Okay. All right. And then once we sign up for AMBA, I recall you said that they waive the enrollment fee.
Yes.
And so how soon how much would we have to pay in other words, before AMBA would start covering a hospital, I mean, an ambulance ride or?
If you signed up today, your MASA would be approved and issued today. There is a 90-day waiting period for pre-existing conditions.
Okay.
That's the only fine print. But if you left home today, was in a car accident, and had to be airlifted, it would be covered.
Wow.
If it was something of pre-existing, what I mean by pre-existing is, you know, if you were diabetic and you had a sugar low and which caused you to pass out, they might look at that as pre-existing. But a lot of times MASA is very good about paying. But the 90-day waiting period, and you're covered.
Wow, that is such a huge benefit.
Yep.
It's a huge benefit. I mean, just thinking of those families who don't have coverage because they just don't think they need coverage. Now, Debbie, do standard insurance companies offer AMBA, or do you have to be an AMBA rep to offer it?
No, you can go to MASA for the ground air and ambulance plan. You can go to them directly and sign up for a plan. But if you want to come under AMBA, we have several we have support retired educators, retired state employees. So we just asked you sign up with one of our retired educators program. We also have a free program. So for you, Florida Retired Educators, you're a member of Florida Retired Educators. So as long as you join one of our local retired educators, that you can waive that fee and get the 40% discount with us.
Wow. What a huge benefit. Well, I am definitely going to add MASA to my current plan with you. But now I have another question, Debbie. You know, my life insurance carrier is Mutual of Omaha.
Right.
And so today in the mail, I received an offer from Mutual of Omaha. They are offering me maximum coverage of $1 million with rates starting at $11.65 a month. It says my status is approved and for me to reply right away.
Yes. And that's a great program, but there's always a but or possibly fine print. So that is a term life product. And it's a great product. That means it's only for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. So, and it's based on age. Now, most of us would get a term product when we were younger. We wanted to cover mortgage, raising children, or a business. You know, that's when you want a term product. Also, too, you want to be careful with those pre-approved that come in the mail that say no medical questions, no physical. Now, of course, we know, Loretha, with my policy that I sold you, you didn't have to visit a nurse and no one come. I asked you about 13 medical questions. And your policy got issued. So some that come in the mail can be great programs for a short period of time. But if they say no physical, no nurse visit, those are their guaranteed issue products. And what that means is they're trying to get a whole bunch of healthy people to sign up. They realize that a couple non-healthy people are going to sign up. So it's just the cost of doing business. But most of the time, and I've had this happen more than once, you can get the same policy less expensive by going through a couple medical questions. Looks like Loretha popped out for a second, but I want to remind everyone, Saturday mornings at 8 o'clock, it's Debbie, Insurance Chat with Debbie. My email and my phone number, that's my cell phone. You're welcome to text questions. So we can get those answered. I know we had another question come in But we're going to take a quick commercial break and we'll be right back.
When it seemed like the world had stopped, as if our normal would never be again. Confinement Chronicles.
Still, there were those who held fast to hope. These are their stories. From teachers to dads to nurses on the front line, they have chronicled their messages of hope. Confinement Chronicles, now available. Order today on Amazon, also available in audiobook or at laderopress.com.
Confinement Chronicles.
Debbie Scarborough is a member of VeluciaBusinessWomen.com, and Volusia Businesswomen would like to invite you to pop up at the IHOP. Join us Sunday, October 16th, 2022 from 4 to 6 p.m. at 155 Bill France Boulevard in Daytona. Admission is free. Come out and learn about Volusia Businesswomen. Get your business and event listed on our calendar. Admission is free. Attendees are encouraged to order from the menu. We will be in the meeting space. For more information or for vendor registration, you may call 407-914-6519 or send an email to volusiabusinesswomen@gmail.com. You are watching an insurance chat with Debbie. Education and information, answering your questions. This program airs Saturdays at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Visit Debbie on VeluciaBusinessWomen.com. Just search for Debbie Scarborough, or send an email to debbie.scarborough@amba.info. We'll be right back.
When it seemed like the world had stopped, as if our normal would never be again. Confinement Chronicles.
Still, there were those who held fast to hope. These are their stories. From teachers to dads to nurses on the front line, they have chronicled their messages of hope. Confinement Chronicles, now available. Order today on Amazon, also available in audiobook or at laderopress.com.
Confinement Chronicles.
Debbie and her special guest will be returning in just a moment. If you have any questions, please feel free to text 407-914-6519. That's 407-914-6519. Now it's time to bring back Debbie.
Hello. That was a nice break. I needed a break. And I think we all need a break from insurance occasionally, right? I'm Debbie Scarborough, and Saturday morning chats with me to answer any questions you have about insurance. There are lots of products that I do offer. Life insurance, our ground, air, and ambulance plan, cancer plan, heart and stroke, accident insurance, long-term care. And I know there was a host of many more. But even if it's not something I offer, I don't mind offering advice on your current medical insurance and how it works. Your home and auto insurance, great thing that everybody's got to have. I know we've had some more questions typed in. I think there was a question about an annuity.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, here comes Loretha back.
Hello there, Debbie. I do not have an annuity. Actually, to tell you the truth, I'm not really sure what that is because it's been years since I've had a 401k or since I've, had money set aside for retirement. So yeah, I might want to just explain to me what that is, Debbie.
Yes. One of the questions someone asked was all annuities tied to the stock market. And I know there are a lot of literature out there about bad annuities and stuff. Right. And I was like most of us, I didn't have anything good to say, so I wasn't sure. But there are annuities that are tied to the stock market, and then there are fixed index annuities that are not tied to the stock market. So you want to get one of those. And the best way to explain a fixed index annuity is, everybody know what a CD is?
Yep.
You go to the bank, you give them $5,000, $10,000, $50,000, and you say, you can hold that for a year or 2 years, and you'll pay me interest. Well, that's a fixed indexed annuity. Now, where some of the other stuff comes is we have a fixed indexed annuity that's a 10-year. So that means you're giving me, emeritus, the money for 10 years. Now we pay out an interest every year. And then if you want to withdraw that money, there's a penalty, just like a CD.
Right.
But the good news about our emeritus fixed indexed annuity is that that penalty decreases 1% every year. So it goes down from 10 to 9 to 8. And then the good news is most of the time that's our retirement money. That's our long-term care money. That's our, if the world, we can't get to any money or we run out of money.
Right.
That's that money. So if you have 10,000, 100,000 in that account, and it's time to move out of the apartment and go to a nursing home,
right,
you can take that money out penalty free. So when it becomes either a terminal illness or a long-term care event, then that money is penalty free.
Okay.
Plus, the other good news is you can take out 10% penalty free every year. Plus a one-time emergency amount of another 10,000 10% penalty free. So there's lots of little riders on there, but while that's earning interest,
Mm-hmm.
some people say, well, don't you annuitize and get monthly income? That's another thing you can choose at some
Mm-hmm.
point at 5 years, 15 years, 20 years, is you annuitize, and
Mm-hmm.
then they agree to send you 500, 1,200 based on the amount that you had in there
Okay.
every month for the rest of your life. So I have ran into a couple insureds
Mm-hmm.
who annuitized an annuity and they have outlived their annuity. And
Wow.
even though technically the money was gone out of that account, the
Mm-hmm.
insurance company is still paying.
Wow.
So there are benefits to an annuity. And especially right now with what the stock market is doing,
Uh-huh.
more people are putting that money into CDs or fixed index annuities
Mm-hmm.
so that it's not tied to the stock market.
Wow, that's amazing. It sounds so much more beneficial to have an annuity rather than just a basic savings account at your bank.
Yes, you're going to earn our annuities. The least expensive is 4.45 all the
Mm-hmm.
way up to 8.06. So that's a lot better interest than you're getting from your money market savings accounts and even your CDs.
And it's safer.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we've got another. My favorite question is my very favorite question.
This is your favorite question. We always get this question.
Because sometimes it says my husband says, or it says my wife says, or my mama says, we don't need life insurance. And I think we do. What should I do?
Uh-huh.
Well, I believe everybody needs some form of life insurance for a lot of different reasons.
Right.
The good news about that life insurance, Loretha, it's going to pay out to your beneficiary immediately.
Right.
There is only one thing that Mutual of Omaha will need is the death certificate.
Right.
And the funeral home will help get that straight to them within a week.
Yep.
And your beneficiary will have that money within 2 or 3 weeks, if not sooner.
Yes.
Now, with the way things are emailed and sent, there's very little waiting period. So there's not a whole bunch of stuff that needs to be collected to pay out life insurance. So I believe life insurance is something we all need some form. I hear people say, well, I've got money in the bank to pay for my funeral. Oh, that's great. Is your family perfect?
Right.
And I say family perfect because I mean, anybody, a lot of those accounts have to go through probate. If you don't have a will, and you don't say this is what this money is for, whoever is taking care of your finances can do whatever they want with that money.
Exactly.
So it's so hard, and when you're in a bigger family with 2 or 3 kids or siblings or more people to get to that money, a life insurance policy pays to your beneficiary, no questions asked.
No matter what. And Debbie, you know what? As far as I'm concerned, it's no different from having car insurance. We pay car insurance, and oftentimes we never have an accident.
Exactly. It's one of those things you want to have in place.
Yep.
And take care of. And the reality is, you know, it would be easy if we knew what was going to happen in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years.
Yes.
That money that we saved, we may ended up having to use it for long-term care.
Right.
Long-term care, nursing home, and assisted living is averaging $5,000 to $6,000 to $7,000 a month.
It's unbelievable.
You could drain a savings account and an investment portfolio in 2 or 3 years easy.
Easy.
So as long as that insurance premium is paid, whether you choose $10,000, $20,000, $50,000, it's going to get paid out to your beneficiary.
Exactly. And let me tell you, because my mother is 94, she's still in good health, but when she lived here with me, this building is for seniors, but it is not assisted living.
Right.
And so when we went to investigate the assisted living, oh my gosh, it was so expensive, Debbie. There is no way we could afford to pay it. No way.
Yeah, and the good news about we have a great long-term care program with none other than Mutual of Omaha.
Oh.
So if you're in the state of Florida, traditional long-term care with Mutual of Omaha is a great plan to pay a monthly premium. And in the event you need long-term care or home care, it pays out.
Wow.
So it's a great opportunity to look in for. And we've got another question. What is the accident insurance that you offer?
Okay.
Great plan with Cigna. None of us have ever had a car accident, right?
No.
None of us have ever fallen down in the store.
Right.
Accident insurance is just that. It doesn't matter who is at fault, whether someone hit you in a car. Those of us that have been involved in a car accident know that sometimes it takes 2 or 3 months for that other party to pay up.
Oh, yes.
So accident insurance is something that with Cigna that is going to pay in the event that there's an accident.
Okay.
And it has, our Cigna plan has a list of broken bones, burns, teeth. It's going to pay an amount of insurance depending on what plan you pick. There are 3 plans. There's the standard, the plus, and the enhanced.
Okay.
And it pays the amount for every x-ray, for every doctor visit, for an emergency room, a hospital stay. It pays a certain amount. For example, my son tore his ACL. Not a fun thing to do at 18. Playing basketball. Again, an accident.
Right.
5 or 6 boys playing basketball, tore his ACL. He was out of work for like 6 months.
Woo!
So he had to have outpatient surgery. He had to have physical therapy. So an accident plan would have paid $50 per physical therapy, $50 per doctor visit. It would have paid like $1,500, $2,000 for outpatient. Luckily, our health insurance did a really good job of paying, but I had copays of $40 per physical therapy. Well, guess what?
What?
I would have got a $50 per physical therapy from the accident plan.
Wow.
And I had $10 left. The good news about an accident plan is they're indemnity plans. They pay the limit of the policy. They don't care what the cost is. They pay the limit of the policy.
Okay.
So luckily, when I went through and added up, we probably would have got about $4,200 had I purchased that accident plan for him.
Right.
That would have helped pay those copays. That would have helped make his truck payment because he couldn't work for 6 months.
Right.
And our Cigna accident plan has a $75,000 accidental death benefit as well. So it's a great plan to put in place, and those plans can be as low as $20 a month. So it's nice. I had a coworker. He fell and broke her tooth. Well, we all know how much an implant is.
Oh, yes.
And those are a lot of times not covered under dental plans.
Right.
So, and then a tooth in front, her accident plan paid out and allowed her to do that. So always look into an accident plan. It's a great thing to have. It also pays $200, $400 a day if you're in the hospital.
Oh my.
So someone like me who, if I'm not working, I don't get paid.
Right.
That $200 a day, if I'm in the hospital, is nice to have too. So there's lots of areas that it pays out directly to you.
Well, Debbie, you are certainly a little expert on benefits. You are truly a benefits advisor. And I for one am very happy about it. I believe your show is going to be very successful because people need to know about these benefits and how affordable they are and how we all need them no matter what. We need the benefits.
Yep. Well, I appreciate it. 22 years in the industry, and it has paid off.
It really has. And Loretha has life insurance. Loretha has life insurance, but Loretha needs long-term care, and I need massa. So that's what my plan is for 2023. I need to get both of those added on.
Very good. Well, that gives us something to work towards.
Yep.
And hopefully we helped someone today answer some questions, and hopefully they can text me, call me, or email, and I'll help them get their plan. I like to do things in a relaxed atmosphere.
Yep.
I don't like to do the high pressure sales. We like to just get the information, educate, inform, and let you make the decision on where you want to go. We can do Zoom appointments, which are my favorite because we all can sit at home, relax. We can talk over the phone, or you never know, I might be back in your area any day now.
You just might be. And Debbie, I have one more question. It might be a silly question, but I don't really know. When, say for instance, if you were to get long-term care or one of the massa plans, and you never utilize it, say for instance you pass after you paid into it for several years, do those policies also have beneficiaries?
Yes and no. On your massa plan, if you never use it, you pass away, your policy's canceled and it ends.
Okay.
Now, on some policies, there are return of premium. You can choose on your cancer plan. You can choose that on a heart and stroke plan. You can choose that on a long-term care plan up to age 65. So, but yes, so look for those endorsements and ask if they're available, because there are a lot of insurance plans that offer a return of premium. Good question. Good question. See?
Yep. And I didn't think I had a question. How about that?
I know. Sometimes they just pop out of nowhere. It is. And, you know, I know a lot of us are in a lot of different states, and every state is different.
Right.
And I don't personally sell home and auto insurance, but I really encourage everyone to pull out their auto insurance. And if you own a home, you specifically, those that own a home, need to make sure you're not driving around on the minimum state limits, because it's something that I was very passionate about when I worked with home and auto insurance. Is, you know, sometimes we're just looking for the least expensive, but sometimes we don't know what that means.
Right.
You know, what does state minimum? Well, the state only requires me in Georgia to have 25, 50, 25. So let's have that. Well, what that means is there's $25,000 medical and $25,000 property. So if you hit another car, the most your insurance is going to pay out is $25,000.
Oh, okay.
Now, I don't know about you. Anybody been shopping for a new car lately?
You're certainly going to need more than that.
Your person that you accidentally hit is probably driving around in something more than $25,000. So what does that mean to you as a consumer? And to me, is that means my insurance, if I'm covering the minimum, who pays the rest? You. Your insurance company is going to send a check for $25,000, and then they're going to send you a bill for the difference of what that $30,000 car.
Wow.
You know, so really look at your deck pages with your car insurance, and carry something for a couple of dollars more a month.
Right.
And you can make sure you're covered.
That sounds very smart. That's great advice, Debbie. I
And
just want to thank you for all of your knowledge. I mean, you have really been a blessing to Angie BEE and Bartee Productions, as well as to myself.
thank you very much. And you have been an inspiration and a blessing to me. And I think it popped out of the sky what we're going to talk about next time.
Oh, really?
We're going to talk about our cancer policy.
Oh,
a little
that's
more
a good
detail about what it covers and why we should have a cancer policy.
Okay.
So, and coincidentally, it may fall in October. Is Cancer Awareness Month.
It is.
So it's a good month. Even those that are watching us later will be able to look in. But a cancer policy is always a good thing to get. So we'll
it really is. It really is, Debbie. Do you know there are 3 members in my church right now who have been diagnosed with cancer, and they didn't have a cancer policy.
Right.
So yeah, I will definitely be tuning in on that show.
Good. And you know, it's not surprising because a lot of us don't think about it.
We really don't.
I was 42 and didn't get a cancer plan.
Yeah.
So, but I have one now.
Good.
So good. Well, I look forward to everyone coming back.
All right.
Make sure they're going to watch us on Saturday mornings at 8 a.m.
Woohoo!
And chat or send us a text with your questions. So I look forward to seeing you next Saturday.
All right.
All right.
See you next Saturday, Debbie. Thank you.